Big smile. And it says we are live on so many platforms, about to record for a national and international broadcast with none other than the founder of the We the People Town Square app and much more. We're about to go live. We're going to also, right before the debate as well, broadcast. It is none other than Dan Rogers. How you doing there, Dan?
Doing good. How are you, Brent?
I'm doing good, man. We are seeing right now in so many places, and it's exciting because while this may be a maiden voyage for what we're doing right now, you are no stranger to making your voice heard. You are the Republican chair for Potter County, and we've had an interview before. I'm so glad to be with you now, and I tell you what, a whole lot more people will be able to hear what Dan Rogers has to say. You know, it's amazing, folks, when we talk to people in the street, how many people don't even know what's going on. They just need someone to tell them what's going on. Well, we're going to help tell you what's going on and help give directives of what you can do. You know, did you know that it's possible to move towards doing away with property tax? It's possible to get away from giving the District of Columbia our votes, to let them decide who's going to be on. So, you know, and I just got another notice right now as we're about to officially start the show about another network, another TV network that we're also going to go live as we are talking right now. Multiple cities and states, and this is just the beginning. And here we go. Hello there. There we go. And a new audience right there. All of New Mexico and all of West Texas, the Panhandle, even Abilene and Oklahoma City and beyond. So multi-city, multi-state, multi-platform from YouTube and more. Next week will be X, Twitter. A lot less censorship there, but hello there, Channel 20 viewers as well. If you're on the Facebook, you're going to see it again tonight. But we're going to go ahead and start, and very excited. Always good to see you, Dan. And we are going to start. Technology always works when you don't want it to. And here we go. None other than the Republican chair of Potter County. His name is Dan Rogers, the founder of We the People Town Square app. You better get it. And I'm very pleased to introduce to a whole new audience and audiences in multiple cities and states, Mr. Dan Rogers. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Brent.
I really enjoyed our first interview, Dan, and of course, you know, when I reposted some of your quotes and talked about, hey, no more property taxes. We need to do away with that. A lot of people responded very strongly to that. Then when I reposted another one, we're talking about we need to do away with these election machines. It's what happens inside the machines. More than anything, we need to go back to paper ballots. People jumped on that and responded to that as well. And then when I posted again, there is hope, folks. You can do something, but you can also have on your phone a non-censored communication platform. We the People Town Square. You can find it in the Apple App Store. It's a free app. You better download that while you're watching right now. But Dan, a lot going on in just a little bit. There's going to be a debate with President Trump and Kamala Harris, and so we're looking forward to that. I'm surprised that the debate, quite frankly, is happening.
Yep.
But what are some things that people need to keep in mind as they're about to watch this debate?
Well, it's kind of the Super Bowl of politics, right? The presidential election. So I think we need to pay attention to what they say. Most of the voters in West Texas overwhelmingly support President Trump. I don't believe most Americans, if they listen to what the Democratic Committee's platform is, they should read it, and they should read the Republican Party platform. As a matter of fact, we'll have those on our We the People Town Square site, and then you make the choice. And I have all the confidence in the world that the people of America will choose the Republican Party platform. But they need to read it, and they need to make up their own minds. So I'm looking forward to the debate. I think it's good that they're going to cut off Trump's mic. I think that makes it smoother. There's going to be debate watch parties all across the state. We're going to have one at our headquarters office tonight. So if you're in Amarillo, you can go by our headquarters office at 4217 Southwest 21st and join the young Republicans there who are going to be at our headquarters. So get involved and watch the debate. But what's more important, I believe, is that you get involved in your local community. It's your county commissioners, it's your city councilmen, it's your school board members. You need to turn off your televisions, turn off your screens, and show up at those meetings in your local county. You'll spend less time than reading somebody else's opinion of what happened. So why don't you go yourself? Then you'll know, because you're smart enough. You do not need somebody else to tell you what's going on. And in this day of the lack of media at the local level,
Right.
I think it's a great opportunity. And I think it's actually perhaps a good thing, because go show up yourself. You're more important than the media. You don't need somebody else to tell you how to think. You do it.
You know, Dan, you're an answer prayer. You know, we had a national news show with Brigitte Gabrielle and Act for America called it News You Can Act On, created that show for her. 31 million households, and we were baffled that 34 million evangelicals did not even vote in 2020. And that to this day, around 10 million evangelicals are not even registered to vote. You know what, folks? Dan Rogers gave me hope. That there is something you can do, that there are people who do care. And, you know, there's a false narrative out there as well, Dan. I mean, I was very happy to hear what you had to say about Austin. You know, the word on the street, so to speak, is Austin, man, they're blue. And you said, no, Brent, that's not the case at all. That's the narrative that most people feel the same way that we do.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that they've been messing with our vote. Now, that's to say, though, before I get into that, it's so important that you show up. If
Right.
everybody that was registered to vote showed up and voted, they cannot cheat because of how they're doing it. I believe they're adding votes. It's not done at the county level. It's not even done in the machines. It's done once that vote leaves your polling place. And a lot of people don't understand that when they vote, that it's transmitted over the state's private network to the SOS.
Wow.
And then from there, at the national level, it's going through CISA and our intelligence. Who knows where it's going? And I believe that's most likely where they're manipulating it, because how else did Biden get 81 million votes?
Right.
I don't think he got 81 million votes.
Nope.
And you had a lot of people that tried to point that out, and they vanished, right? They yanked their law licenses and they threatened them because they don't want people to know what's really going on. And they've come after me, and they will, but I don't care, because I will beat them. I'm not afraid of the government. Nobody should be afraid of their government. In fact, the way our founders designed our government was to make sure that the citizens know that the government is supposed to be afraid of them, the people.
Right.
It is
Right.
about the individual voter. We have the power. You have the power. But if you don't exercise your vote, if you don't be informed, you're abdicating your responsibility to somebody you do not know and who you may not agree with. So we're working on several levels to try to get these, I call it the unverifiable, hackable, black box voting system stopped.
Right.
If we can get that done, then we'll have a different government, because a lot of people will not be elected, I believe. So why are they fighting me so hard on going back to hand-marked, self-authenticated, tangible ballots that we can verify? I'm asked that a lot, and I say, well, that's a good question.
Well, I was live with Israel and this morning, and they said, well, hey, we have paper ballots, you know, when we vote. And I thought, my gosh, man.
What people
And
don't understand, and this is interesting statistic. Out of 229 countries in the world that have some sort of voting, 218 of them use paper ballots.
wow.
Only the United States, Venezuela, and a few other dictatorships use electronic voting. What's that tell you?
It tells you that we're in trouble, and we've been in trouble. You know, every time I go overseas, nobody believed for a moment that Sleepy Joe from his basement got more votes than Obama or Trump. And here we are. And of course, how much more does the truth have to come out? You know, the results of some of the evidence presentations in Georgia and Arizona. The list goes on and on. Even people coming forward saying, "Hey, we dumped thousands of Trump ballots. You know, we threw them away." And again, it doesn't make you an election result denier. It just makes you truly awakened to the fact that we have a crooked administration that it itself halted Middle East peace. Biden administration put a halt to the Abraham Accords. My friend was sitting next to President Sisi of Egypt when Biden's people said, unless Hamas and Hezbollah are considered nations, which they are not, we will not move forward. I mean, we have people with the Obama group coming against Netanyahu. You know, and of course, this administration, you know, supporting the Muslim radicals in Bangladesh, causing their moderate leader to run to India. Folks, we need a change. And, you know, it's been said before, Dan, that, you know, the left only needs one reason to vote, and the Republicans only need one reason not to vote. And we've got to change that today.
Well, show up and vote during this election, even if you think it's rigged. And I'm recommending that everyone vote early.
Right.
Number one, it is convenient. And number two, we can verify that you voted
Right.
if you vote on early, because they post that every day where you voted and who voted.
Right.
On election night. Now, what we believe is what's likely happening is they're taking the results from the early voting because they can see in real time your vote.
Right.
And so they're taking that and they understand how much they need to add. And I believe they're adding votes. So they're taking the early voting results. And then when the election's over on election night, they also have that information. And then I believe they're adding the votes necessary to get the results they need in the races that they want to manipulate. And that's what it appears. You saw it on election night in 2020.
Of course.
And but if every single person voted, they couldn't have that spread in the rolls to add the votes. And the reason we believe that is because I've worked with other counties and we went door to door and we've asked in one county, I won't mention the county, but it's a big county in Texas, in central Texas. And we went to 1,001 doors. And I'm going to give you the rough numbers are that we were able to get a hold of 585 people.
Wow.
And out of that 585 people that the EAs, the printout from the EA's office said voted, 184 said we never voted.
Yep.
So that's a pretty big percentage, right? So the fact that we weren't able to get a hold of all of them, but roughly half of them. And so what is that? A third of them. And that's probably about right, about 30%.
I've heard.
They could be adding, and we have no way of knowing who those people are, right? So if you vote early, that will help minimize that. But I think people are going to vote overwhelmingly for Trump. I think they voted overwhelmingly for Trump in 2020.
That's what I believe too.
I was in Travis County right before the election. I thought, wow, there's Trump banners everywhere, Trump signs. I saw very little support for the Democrats in Travis County. And I thought, you know, I could see it. He might win Travis. And I could see Travis County being 40, 60 Democrat, but not 80-20, which
Right.
is what the machine said.
Which was opposite of what was going on.
And the problem with the machines are, and they may be perfectly fine. It's not the people running the machines, it's not the hardware, but it's what happens after that vote leaves the machine. And we have no way to verify anything in the current system. And I just want a system that the voters can have confidence in, where we can verify the vote and where everybody that gets elected, if questioned, could prove they won. And right now they can't. And that's a bad system. So why do we use it?
It is. You know, Dan Bongino encourages everyone to vote early as well,
Yeah.
early and online. And, you know,
Well, we don't
you
want to
are,
be voting online.
well, you can't always trust the portals. I know Act for America can be a trusted one, but give us the exact prescription of what we should do. I have a feeling there's going to be some live action events that we, the people, Town Square, will be conducting with yourself and myself. Now, I'm on board with you, man.
Well, here's
I
another
haven't been this
problem.
excited in a while. Huh?
With another problem with electronic voting is there are a lot of people out there, particularly older people, that are not comfortable with technology. And so they don't vote because they're afraid they won't know how to use the machines and they don't want to be embarrassed going to the polls and not knowing how to use them. So I'm thinking about uh, maybe doing a mock vote so people understand the process as it is today and how the machines work and get that out to the voters. The question's going to be, we're going to have to do community outreach to try to get these people who don't have technology into a community center or something where we could show them how to do that and show them how to vote. And the other thing I'd like to do is do a presentation on how I recommend that we vote, which I think people will find much more simple and much more verifiable and much more accurate because
Well,
we
let's
can
go ahead and
prove it.
walk through that, Dan. Let's tell them that. What are you seeing right now? What's the best prescription here? Because
Well, the way we used to do it is, and I think was a, and I have the benefit of being an election judge when we had this system because, and what was good about it, it was a community event. Both parties were needed. Both parties were there. The precinct chairs, election judges, election workers of both parties work together and everybody's watching and making sure everything's run smooth and that there were nobody voting that shouldn't be. And we knew who they were. After you work the election in a precinct, you know the people, and then you know who's not legit, right? And
right.
we'd get a call, hey, so and so's gonna voted in Randall County, they're headed to Potter County. They we overheard them say they were going to vote again somewhere else, but they couldn't because their name wasn't on the manual poll book, right? So they would try to vote, their name's not on there. They would try to vote provisional, but we knew that they were bogus. We let them vote to create conflict, but we held the ballots as provisional ballots. And those ballots we have to verify later. But then they would end up getting prosecuted for election fraud because they voted somewhere else and tried to vote again. And so I hear all these media stories about no evidence of election fraud.
Yeah,
We always have election fraud in every county in the state, every election,
I realize.
because there are idiots out there that try to get by with it. Now, generally, here they were of the Democratic Party, but it's not to say that Republicans aren't. Some of them aren't too bright either. Sometimes, so there's just people that, for some reason or another, think that they can game the system, and we don't want that. We just want it right. So I advocate for that system. We had a manual poll book, and it's by precinct, so you might have 1,000 names on it at most, and everybody comes in, they produce their ID, we find their name on the poll book, they sign their name beside it. Once we verify that they're there and the signature is there, then they picked a ballot off the table. They would take it and sit down at another table. They would fill it out. They'd come back by. They'd drop it in the voter the vote box and they'd leave. And it was quick, it was simple. It didn't matter if we had electricity, it didn't matter if we had a water leak, it didn't matter if the power went out. In fact, one year I was an election judge, we had a blizzard and people were coming in and the power went out in the building, didn't affect anything, right? We could still see enough and they could vote. Didn't affect anything. Then when we got done, both judges went together with the box to central count. We stood in line and chatted it up with all the other judges and got to the window. They'd take our ballots out. They'd put them in the scanner. They'd run them through the optical scanner. They'd print the results. They'd put one on top, wrap it, stick it on the shelf, and another copy was printed to give to the county clerk at the time, which is now our EA, which that's another problem we can talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And we were done, right? And we had our results statewide by 9 o'clock. We were home by 8, right?
Wow.
It was so simple to set up, take down, and it was just nothing to it. And I marveled at the system, at how whoever came up with the system was brilliant. You couldn't cheat. I think it was the Australians that actually came up with that system.
Wow.
And I think it was North Carolina that started that in 1859, the system that we were using, and it worked beautifully. And then we had, and it's part of the election code, that we have to canvass the vote, right? In our primary, it's up to the county parties to do it. In the general, then it's up to the county commissioners. But they don't have that ability now. But within 21 days, we had to go in, pull 25% of our precincts at random, and we'd have to sit down and manually count a race. We could pick any race at random on a random 25% of the precincts and verify that the scanner counted the votes correctly. Mm. And it was simple. It didn't take us any time because we're doing it alone. So I might take 3 other people with me. We each grab a precinct. We each count a separate race. Takes us 15 minutes maybe to whip through because you just make your marks, right? And then you add them up, make sure it matched the scanner, and the scanner was always correct. Those scanners are very simple. You know, they look for the presence of or the absence of light. It's not going to make a mistake. Now, it might kick a ballot out where somebody voted twice in a race for 2 people, but those were adjudicated, or that race wouldn't count for that ballot, right? But we had a true ballot, and you could, you know, there are people that won't follow directions and they might check the box or something. So those we'd have to adjudicate. But it's both Democrat and Republican judges making those decisions. 2 people, 1 from each party. Simple, no problems, and it worked well, and it cost nothing. They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on these machines and service agreements, and you're paying all that with your tax dollars. And then I believe they're selecting our candidates and instead of us as individual voters, and that's wrong.
You talked about bringing
even
votes.
If they're not, even if they're not, the system is bad, it's wrong, and it can't be verified. So I advocate for a system where nobody can complain, where people can verify their vote, and where candidates can prove they won. And to me, it's pretty simple. But we can do it, and you can do it at your local county level by putting pressure on our county commissioners. And if enough people will stand up and tell them what they want, they won't have any choice but to do it. And if they don't, find people in your community to run against these people and get them out of office. They are not representing you.
For those who are watching from Amarillo, you can go to amarillofirst.com. Everyone can go to the WeThePeopleTownSquare.com. Download that app. You know, for over 15 years now, I've been hearing people say, we need a conservative alternative Those are the words of Dan right there, conservative alternative. We need an alternative Facebook. You saw how easy it is to be censored, to be shut down, for Facebook to do their tests, even defer of Facebook has publicly stated that he helped the Biden campaign. And you need true news. You need accurate news. If there's anything good about people having lost total faith in the government and the media, it's when they find the real thing, they can get behind that. Dan, you do a great job of keeping your people informed with the We the People Town Square app. You have a bunch of great interviews on YouTube as well. We the People Town Square. You present, what these officials vote, how they vote, and you don't necessarily tell people how to vote. You tell them to vote and to show up, and again, by doing that, we can bring the vote back to the precinct level. Showing up. Folks, you're about to watch this debate tonight, and again, you'll see both sides, quote unquote, both sides. Fox News is in bed with the left, but hey, for argument entertainment's sake, they'll pretend to be for the right. Some great people on that network are not leftists, but the owners most definitely are. And aside from all the noise, you need to understand what your platform stands for. A lot of young people that I talk to, Dan, they don't realize that the Party of Native American Genocide, the KKK, Jim Crow laws with Biden himself, and so much more, Black genocide. So many of those things are from the left. And because they have had the dominant voice in the media, of course, in the education system, telling a part of the truth, but blaming the conservatives when they're the ones who propagated slavery and so many other atrocities. They just want a civil war is what they want. But people need to know their platforms. You can download your platform online. And if you're downloading platforms from the Republican Party or the Democrat Party, while you're at it, why don't you download a copy of the Communist Manifesto? And you will see line by line the things that have been enacted by the left. And I'm just speaking on my own here. But no matter how you vote, please vote informed and vote early and show up. More about showing up. It's not just the vote. Conservatives tend to check out after the major election time. They underestimate the importance of the primaries, and they underestimate the importance of staying engaged all year long. As we're about to go into watching the debate pretty soon, how would you encourage people on perhaps retraining their perspective of what it means to show up and to stay engaged?
Yeah, I think people need to start listening a little more to what these people say, and they don't. They don't listen to the candidates. They listen to what the media tells them the candidates say or what they stand for. You need to listen to the candidates themselves and look at their policies and not be manipulated by emotion. They're trying to make Kamala Harris look out like she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. She's the queen of America. She's the hardest working woman ever. But a couple of months ago, she was the worst vice president in history and is totally clueless, right? But they have created the narrative and people believe it because that's all they hear, right? And they don't listen to, there is no other side out there that really can offset what most people see on social media and in what they call the mainstream. I call it the government controlled media.
Right. State control.
It's not mainstream to me because I don't watch any of it.
Right.
I don't think it matters, and I don't want to be manipulated myself because it's easy to because if you see it and you hear it, you tend to believe it, and they know that, and they've been very successful at convincing people of things that did not happen, that did happen, and vice versa. Like no evidence of election fraud when there's nothing but evidence everywhere you look.
Right.
So listen to what they say and make up your own mind, and then don't forget to vote. And the reason I created the We the People Town Square is I was trying to come up with a solution locally for my precinct chairs so we could engage the voters and teach them things that I don't believe they're taught anymore. People don't know how the two-party system works,
Right.
but it's in our election code. We're stuck with it. Whether you like it, agree with it, doesn't matter. If you don't like it, change it, right? But
Right.
so if you've got a system, we need to understand how that system works and use the system to affect positive change. We can get rid of property taxes. We can get rid of electronic voting devices. We can fix our school system, but we have to do it. Donald Trump can't do it by himself. He's one man. Anything could happen to it. They took a
Right.
shot at him on July 13th. What if they would have not missed?
Right.
My point is, it's up to you, the individual. So if you'll join our platform, I will help you and show you what you can do so we can take our counties back. If we can take our counties back, we can take our country back.
There you go. Another reason why, folks, I'm very excited about Dan Rogers, the founder of We the People Town Square app. You better download it now. Go to the App Store. It's a free download. Get involved and get plugged in. A lot of great interviews on that app as well. You're going to see a whole lot more. And again, a lot of you may not have seen Dan in the media or on television or so many platforms as much as you're about to. He didn't set out to do that, but I'm just so thrilled to meet someone with his experience and his enthusiasm and his, well, I just think he's way ahead of the rest. I think he's a genius, but I encourage everybody. I encourage all of you though, folks, all of you, again, listen to what's being said and go download the app, make connection, see some of the people you may be voting for and see where they stand. Dan is called upon to interview all types of people running for office, but we've got to step it up, folks. We got to step it up. You can't take your country back passively. We have to be proactive. That means we need to vote early. That means we need to do everything that we can to prevent election fraud, because our country and our children and our children's children depend on it. We do not need to be a communist nation. And if you just dig far enough, it will shock you. A lot of people that I love and know that have voted Democrat say, look, the party left me. I didn't leave them. They left me. We don't know. Some will say, I'm still a Democrat. I'll always be a Democrat, but I can't vote for that. That's crazy. They're the exact opposite of what I was about. They want war. They want class warfare. They want a racial civil war. They profit from it. Those were his words. So
I think we need to go and look and see who's behind it.
Yeah.
And I think once we understand it, then that will help people take action. But
That's
I
right.
think there's our country's basically been taken over by the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes.
Most of the people in the Obama or Biden administration are part of the Muslim Brotherhood, and they're very good and they're very subtle.
Yeah.
And I believe that it's actually all being orchestrated out of Turkey, and they're working with the liberals to destroy this country.
And they're working with Obama. Obama was
he's part of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes, he is. I minister to widows and orphans from the results of Obama giving over $7 billion of your dollars, folks, to the Muslim Brotherhood, the Arab minority in Egypt, where they crucified Christian children in front of their puppet Morsi's palace. Did you know that? Folks, it'll horrify you if you know who's pulling the strings on the left. We have some bad players on the right too, folks. We have some rhinos too. Next time we're going to talk about the Rhino Hunting Club. That's a whole nother deal there, Rogers. But
I like to say that stands for remember, it's not over.
That's right. Remember, it's not over. That's brilliant. Okay, well, our friend Shemaine Nugent may have a few things to say, maybe even Uncle Teddy about Ted about the Rhino hunting club. Remember? Oh
That's
my
going to be a
gosh!
lot of fun. I think we can do a lot of fun things through that. You know, so but I
All
think
right,
it's about education and bringing people together.
that's right,
Most people in America just don't know what to do, but it's
right,
not complicated. It just takes a little bit of effort. A lot of people tell me, Dan, I think people are waking up. I'm like, well, that's great. But when you
got
wake
to do
up,
something.
you got to get up and then you got to stand up and then you got to show up. If
That's
you'll
right.
just show up at your local county commissioners meetings where that's where your property taxes are being raised, at your school boards, they also raise your taxes, at your city commission meetings, they also have control over that. They're spending your money. But if the public doesn't show up, nobody's watching.
Right.
It's human nature. But
So you got to
you don't have to say a word. Just be there. And if you take
just
an
be there.
hour out of your month or 2 hours to go to your commission meetings and your school board meetings and maybe your city council meetings, it will change America. If we could get 200 or 300 people in every county to start showing up at those meetings,
Yeah.
we transform America, and it doesn't take very many of us.
What an inspirational show. Thank you so much, Dan Rogers. Folks, wake up, but get up,
And
stand
show up.
up, show up, or shut up. But we hope that you get up. Sharing memes on Facebook is great, but folks, you got to vote. You have to take that action, and not the day before. Oh yeah, I think I'll take the
And
folks.
here's another thing. Make sure you are registered to vote at your current address. A
Right.
lot of people move. They don't think about changing their voter registration and they show up at the polls and they have to vote provisionally because they forgot to change their address. That's critical. Make sure and get it done now. You have 30 days prior to the November 5th, which is October the 4th or 5th or 6th. Do it in September. Do it now. And if you're not registered and you want to help make America great again, register to vote, sign up for We the People so we can remind you to vote and send you your location to vote. Because people forget and then they don't know where to vote. And then they get busy and everybody's busy. I mean, we're so busy paying taxes and working that people don't have time to even vote. But we got to make time.
Well said. Thank you for telling it like it is there, Kevin. And folks, we'll talk to you next time on Tell It Like It Is. Show up, get that address current, get ready to vote. There's more to come. Download the app, We the People Town Square from the App Store. You'll be glad that you